the AVP season-ending awards and just other AVP questions. So a bunch of people want to know who our picks would have been for like MVP, offensive player. Mine are already in their volleyball magazine. The volleyball mag committee.
The whole
me
committee.
with a very light edit of Lee Fine's vlog.
Well, first of all, this whole ballot thing, I think a lot of people are getting confused. Like AVP put out, Bally's put out a ballot because they wanted to see what the fans' choices were, right? And it seemed really weird because there was players like Phil who should be on it, that wasn't on it, and other players who probably aren't going to get any votes, that were. That wasn't the actual voting for the awards. The AVP sent out a voting about a month ago to the players that doesn't count Phoenix with some statistics attached. That not supposed to count Phoenix, obviously didn't count Central Florida. So now all the fans are looking at it like, what? Phil won 3 events with 3 different guys. So he had only won 2 when the voting was done. I don't really know why they did it before the season was over. Yeah. But they did. So just know that the Bally's ballot situation that everyone's freaking out about on social is not where the actual voting for the awards came. The award voting has come from the players.
I wonder if they'll do 2. Like right now they're releasing the player votes on Instagram. I wonder if they'll do sort of the fan
Yeah, I
votes.
mean, the player votes are the official awards. I think that one of them's got to be the official. Yeah. Right?
Like, you would think. And that's the one that,
hey, listen,
that's the one that matters.
I got some bonuses tied in, so if we want to do 3, do I get bonuses for the volleyball mag voting?
Heck yeah, you do.
If so, then I'm going to talk to you before every end of the season. Hey, bro, I'll give you a little cut
10%,
here. Give me a
10%.
I know I'm close here. Maybe I'm second, but give me a little bump in, and I give you 10%. No, yeah.
I think I just want to know who put the ballot together for the Bally's thing.
I think someone at Bally's did it. That's why they didn't watch the season.
Like Phil's not on the MVP list. Paul Lottman's on the MVP thing, which is fine, but he wasn't the MVP of his own team.
Right.
Like
well, your MVP of the whole season is Miles Partain.
He wasn't on the list. And Phil wasn't on any of it, and that's actually one of the questions from before Zod was wondering, like, no nominations for Phil. Like, it seems like a slap in the face. I'm wondering if Bally's or whoever put the ballot together was, like, trying to give Phil a little ding for playing with Sutton. Maybe. Because I did consider that for the volleyball mag ones.
Okay, well, let's talk. We're talking about MVP here.
Phil wasn't on any of them.
Oh, really?
He was on none of the Bally's.
Yeah, well, that's just silly.
It's insane.
Because hitting percentage, he's always at the top, or like near the top.
For athletes who played pretty much every main draw event, Chase Budinger was number 1 in hitting percentage, was not on the list for best offensive player.
Yeah, right. So this
it's ridiculous.
The Bally's thing is just not legit.
I was looking at it. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah. The statistics are because I looked at what AVP sent us, and then I compared it to what was on BVB, and they were different.
Really?
So I was trying to vote MVP based off of 2 different statistics. I was like, wait,
where did
what?
BVB get the stats? I would think that
BVB
BVB would have pulled it straight.
Well, maybe they grabbed them earlier. Oh, no, you know what probably happened? I'm just realizing. Maybe the AVP didn't include Phoenix in it, and BVB did. Okay. Because they already knew that Phoenix shouldn't be a part of it because all the players didn't play in it.
Right.
Okay, so there we go. Mystery solved, maybe. I hope. I hope there's logic to it. But MVP, that's something where it's tough because you really have to have a clear definition of what an MVP is. Yeah. Like they should have given everyone's just going to give their own version of it. Like you have a very different version than other people. Right. Whatever. So it's like NBA. Who's the MVP? Like, is LeBron really only a 3-time MVP? He went to the finals 9 times in a row. Like, clearly he's the most valuable player over that span, you know? Yeah. He went like 10 years in a row or something to the finals.
It's insane. It's crazy.
But they end up giving it to the guy who has the most points on the season. unless they have like a crazy like 30, 10, and
Yeah.
6 or something, then they'll give it to that guy over the guy who averaged 31. But for the most part, it's for the fans and the best scorers, generally the MVP, right?
Yeah.
Not really the most valuable player who makes all his teammates better,
Yeah.
makes a championship-worthy team. So that's kind of a tricky thing with voting as well,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So if you were voting, who's we'll just do
I can't
MVP,
I
offensive
can't
player.
be part of voting when I'm on the list.
But would you consider yourself the MVP?
Well, I think I would, because we won the most.
Yeah.
And then obviously you can give it to me or Trev.
Yeah.
And we won significantly more in the biggest events.
Yeah, you did.
So it's hard to justify that. And then you can look, okay, well, is there someone else that's like just they're the reason that their team is winning, period. And I don't think there's anyone clearly that person or who have that good of a year. Phil is a weird situation because he won 3 smaller events, or 2 without the vote, whatever, if we're not going to count Florida. And he did it with 2 partners. I wasn't in New Orleans, so it's hard for me to vote for that one.
Yeah.
Who else wasn't in New Orleans? Theo and Cam?
He played.
So the top 2 teams weren't there.
He played Lottie and Miles. He played the Taylors in the finals.
Yeah.
Um,
So that was Sanders' first final.
Andy and Lucena were there, but
I think it was just me and
Andy was
Theo.
really sick, so they took like 9th. 7th,
Yeah, and then
maybe.
me and Theo and
Were you guys in?
yeah, we were somewhere. I think maybe
Mala?
Ostrava or something.
Okay.
Something like that. So, I mean, the event was a little watered down.
Yeah.
If it's only 2. And then you look at the Andy event, it was like, it's kind of a honeymoon thing.
Yeah.
You know? Didn't have a target on their backs really ever. He's kind of playing with
Yeah.
house money the whole year. So just energy and vibe-wise, it's like, that's
Yeah.
boring. Give him the MVP for that. Partain, you voted for Partain. I thought that was interesting because obviously they got 1 win. But then if Partain's the MVP, then that means he must be with a partner that he's significantly carrying. Like, that's basically the statement.
Yeah.
But then if Lotman's also, at the same time, the most underrated player on tour,
Yeah.
the MVP is with the most underrated player, and they still only won 1 event, then it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Plus, Partain was getting served a lot. He sided out well, but wasn't, like, ridiculously high on the...
I think he hit like
Usually when you're...
442.
I mean, it's great.
Around there.
But how high was he on the hitting percentage of the year list?
He was in the top. It was actually funny. Him and Taylor Crabb were tied to the 100th
Right.
of a decimal point.
But also, when you're playing that on 2 game, your hitting percentage goes way up. Like,
I was
I got
actually
my
gonna
MVPs, I got my offensive player of the years optioning. You
That's
see me,
interesting.
my hitting percentage
Yeah.
with Hayden, I think I was second behind. I think Phil had, but narrowly got me.
Yeah.
Like, when you're optioning like that,
Yeah.
you're getting a lot more. Your hitting percentage goes way up.
That's interesting because I was looking at it. I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it from I thought from where Miles was optioning.
I think his game was impressing people, and that's why.
Yeah.
You know, literally, if I jump set 1 ball in the air, I hear fans go, "Oh!"
Yeah.
I was like, that wasn't even cool.
Yeah.
But, like, they just want to see a jump set.
Yeah.
And how many people this year are yelling at me, like, do a jump set?
Skyball.
Or same thing, do a sky ball. You know, when I subbed in for the Swedes, like, the fans are, like, yelling, jump set, jump
Yeah.
set. I was like, okay, but, like, it's the same thing as just setting it.
Yeah.
So I think it's entertaining and it catches your eyes. Like, oh my God, that's so impressive.
Yeah.
But when we played against Partain, it wasn't like, oh, we got a problem here.
Yeah.
It wasn't like blocking against Phil.
Yeah.
And then I also thought his passing kind of like setting up Lotman to do what he does, but Lotman's not capable of that. He's not a jump setter. He doesn't have the beach hands necessarily. Kind of like messed their system up. And that's why we got the best of them the whole season until Phoenix. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd give it to him.
Yeah. So your pick, because I narrowed it down to you, Miles, and Trev for MVP. And then
it's just between me and Trev. And I'll let everyone else vote on that one.
Got it. And then for defensive, I thought it was like pretty clearly between
That's tricky.
Miles and Bug. Because Bug's Taylor Crab.
Cameron was pretty high up there on the list. Diggs, right? I think he was. I want to say. I could be wrong.
So I looked at it. I can't look at it in terms of volume because they did so well.
Yeah.
He's just going to play more matches.
It's more Diggs
sets.
per set.
It's Diggs per set.
Which I would look at.
And Miles and Taylor Crab were always the highest.
Yeah, I'd agree. Those two. It's hard for me to not give it to Taylor. Like when I just look at pure defender.
Yeah.
And I'm ripping a ball at someone, like Miles isn't someone I'm like, dude, he might like just put his arm out and just scoop me.
Yeah.
Or like off the belly or like something weird and just make it look super easy. Like that's Taylor Crab. Like he does stuff like that.
Yeah.
And chasing balls down, like he's also playing against a rookie blocker. Obviously, it's one of the most athletic volleyball players to ever play, but his block was all over the place to start the season, Sander. So I just give it to Taylor because I think he's the best defender we have.
Yeah, that gave me a lot of problems. Was picking between Miles and Bug, and I ended up just did a Diggs per set. It was like whoever just had the most.
Taylor's a better defender right now, but it's also Partain like got better throughout the year.
Yeah.
So it's like easy to like look at him at the end of the year and be like, oh my God, he won an event and then he beat Try and Trev in Phoenix and looked like an unstoppable machine.
Yeah.
Which like, he looked really good in Phoenix and I think he is getting better and he went international. So he just got progressively better throughout the year. But pure defender, I just don't think it's there yet to like really give him that. Like throughout the whole season, were you the best defender in America? Not yet.
Yeah, and I had trouble with the women for best defender because I feel like the U.S. has like 7 of the top 20 defenders in the world. You
Seriously,
got Sponsel, you got Sarah Hughes, Kristen Nuss, Zana, Betsy, Stockman is pretty dang good. Zana averaged more than 7 digs per set.
What?
The highest for the guys in a single tournament was Miles Partain at 4.5.
And
that's for the year.
When we're talking about, let's say there's a defender who digs 10 balls per set.
Yeah.
But we know can't side out very well. Is that still the best defender on tour?
Yeah, so that's what I ended up giving it to Sponsel instead of Zana because Sponsel was way more terminal, both inside out and transition.
Yeah.
But just the sheer volume of digs was nuts because you look
defense.
at Kame.
Like when we say defender, we're talking about the player,
right?
As the defender.
It's a holistic thing. It's not just who's going to dig balls.
Digging.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I had a tough time. I was like, well, because at first I was like, Sarah Hughes was amazing.
Well, you put Phil in his prime on defense, and he's not digging as many balls. But who's the best defender on tour?
90% side out, right?
It's this guy. Yeah, he doesn't have to dig it. He's the best out of the defenders.
Yeah, and that's why Evan Corey, he always makes the comparison between like him and Eric Baranek, where he's like Baranek's going to make 5, 6, 7 more digs per set than I am per match, but I'll put him away at a 20% higher clip in transitions. He's like, I don't have to get that many digs. That's the way he looks at it.
Yeah, totally.
So I picked Sponsel for my.
I didn't vote because it said not to vote.
Okay.
But it also made us vote, so I put NA. It was so weird. It said only vote for your gender, and then it made you go through the girls to be able to submit the thing. So I know a bunch of guys voted.
Yeah.
But I was just like NA because I haven't watched enough either. I don't think I should be voting. You watched.
Yeah, I watched enough.
Okay.
So we'll leave you out of the women's for now. So for the men, we got your defensive player was Bug, MVP was you or Trev. Leave it up to the crowd. We'll just do offensive player and leave it because rookie of the year was Sander. It's not even a discussion.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess I'll give him serves too, but I want to see the error ratio because he probably led the league in errors as well. Yeah. Also blocking, which I'd easily give to Theo, but it also pisses me off because I'm split blocking. At least show the stats.
I did.
I wish we could see the stats of blocks per attempt. I bet you I'd
What
win.
I did-
I don't know if that's true, but I
What I
bet you
did
I'd
for
win.
you guys, because it was funny, because a lot of listeners, not listeners, readers gave me crap for not having Logan Weber in there, but I had you in my best blockers.
Well, did you watch Florida?
And
just in case you forgot.
because I looked at you and I was like, you had one of the highest blocks per set, and you only played half a set
Right.
as a blocker. And so I basically doubled your number.
Appreciate that.
I did it like 1.75 because you do block way more in trans, and when it's tight, you're running.
Right. True.
But Theo, I was kind of an easy pick.
Yeah,
It was
I
whoever
agree.
got my honorable mentions was,
Yeah, just for fun.
yeah.
No, I think Theo was the best blocker. And when you play against him this year, he's the one that you have to change your attacking style the most against,
Yeah.
which is a sign of a good blocker.
Yeah.
And then you can factor that in, I guess, to Kim's defensive player of the year voting.
Yeah.
We're like, well, you had the best block, the biggest and best block in front of you.
Yeah.
Granted, Phil's block is usually
It's pretty good.
and it's pretty damn good too.
Yeah. And that's what, for Kame, I would put him, like I split defenders into two categories. You have a Zana, like a volume defender, and then you have a Kame, which is a terminal
I
defender.
think you got to look at the stats and then just step back, forget the stats, and be like, who's the best at it? Like, who genuinely, especially because the players are voting. You played against this person.
Yeah.
Which one are you more scared of?
Yeah.
Which one changes your game? It's like, and then it becomes clear. Like, yeah, Theo
Yeah.
blocking, Taylor defending.
Yeah. Yeah. Theo is, I think, I've never played against Phil in a real match. I've always wanted to. I've
Very
practiced
different
against him
styles.
a couple times.
He's just a presser.
Yeah.
Like, the guy just takes your space away, and he's a lineup master, and he just goes over into your space in ways that you're just like, whoa, I didn't think you could be in my space like that.
Yeah.
So he changes your whole game.
Yeah. But Theo, every time I practice against him, I'm like, this is a problem.
Yeah. When Theo's feeling it, because he has such a quick load, he can like basically tap block, and that's like his max.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like ass to the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, you and Hayden, man, your defense was a nightmare. Because
Was
like
it?
you play so different than any team I've ever played against. Like most teams, a defender will almost tell you everything they're going to do the second you pass the ball and you look at where they're standing. But Hayden just sits in the seam
Yeah.
the whole time.
And pops
I'm like,
out.
why are you still there? And,
Yeah.
and you're just like so neutral because you're so athletic that you can make those big moves. And you get so low that I can't see you.
Right. That's what people say.
And I use like the blocker for my vision.
Yeah.
So Hayden's just sitting in the seam. I have no idea where he's going, and I can't feel you. So I'm like, oh god. I'm like, oh,
That's
he's
the
digging
idea.
my highlight.
That's the idea.
So if you and Trev want to take notes, that was a tough defensive thing for me to figure out.
You talk to my partner, please. You talk to my partner.